So how's your NFL free agent bracket doing? We take a look back at the week that was as March Madness hits the Star in Frisco. What do the Cowboys do to rebound? Next on the Blitz, your Dallas Cowboys report.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons. Heaves it deep down the left side for Gallup. He's got it. Touchdown! Cooper! Broke a tackle to the 10. Broke another one to the 5. Walks in for the touchdown. Throws it down. Caught by Wilson at the 5. Spin move free. Back to throw. Good block from Collins.
Well, I'll tell you this, my NFL free agent bracket is not doing well, but it's not doing as poorly as my basketball bracket, which died, and you already ripped yours up. Mine died on Thursday night. Welcome to the Blitz. Bill Jones with Kyle Yeomans, and the one thing about it, when it comes to NFL free agency and putting an NFL team together, there is time to recover after the first week. With the basketball, you can't recover.
Yeah, your season's over at that point. Luckily, you're still building toward a season in the NFL, but it feels like there's that same kind of desperation from fan bases. It's one way or the other. You're either winning or you're losing, and it's been a very interesting start for the Dallas Cowboys, to say the least.
And, we talk about March Madness with basketball, and it truly was some March Madness here at the Star in Frisco, which we'll get into over the course of the next half hour. And right off the top, let's show you some of those comings and goings. We start with the goings, and at the top of the list, you've got one Randy Gregory. Of course, Amari Cooper a week ago gets traded to the Cleveland Browns, 5th rounder in return in exchange of 6th rounder Cedric Wilson, a Miami Dolphin, Connor Williams, a Miami Dolphins, and La'el Collins let go as well. So how about we start with Amari Cooper and that Cooper situation with his trade to Cleveland last Saturday.
Yeah, and that's the one we kind of anticipated happening. We even talked about it last week on this show. Two interesting things. It was the part that he had been already known to be released at the end of the free agency period or at the start of it. Rather than turning around, you didn't get a whole lot much in return, because of maybe the fact that he was leaked that the Cowboys were going to try and move on from Amari Cooper. They end up picking up a 5th-round pick. You swap that 6th-round pick, and you save about $16 million on the cap. Even though it wasn't a cap casualty as a cut, it was certainly a cap move for the trade to get rid of Amari Cooper. He goes to Cleveland. Of course, they've got their own sort of issues in the passing game with Baker Mayfield and then the release of Jarvis Landry. Cooper gives stability to the Cleveland Browns organization, and that money could help sign some other guys. That's just whether or not the Cowboys find a way to use it.
All right, and how about Randy Gregory, a guy who it seemed like he was going to be a Dallas Cowboy, and then an hour later he is a Denver Bronco. And when I allude to March Madness, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, this was madness because you look at Tuesday morning, you come into the Star, you're coming into work, and you look at it, you say, oh, Randy Gregory's back. Edge rushers really locked up, and we're going to talk about DeMarcus Lawrence and his return. You really felt like you had those two guys back who were key cogs in your defense a year ago. Instead of 5 years, $70 million, 28 guaranteed in Dallas. He then goes to Denver in a rocky ending with the Dallas Cowboys. Now he's up in the Mile High City, and it leaves the Cowboys high and dry from an edge rusher spot. Who's going to play opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence? They thought about Von Miller. Nope, he's gone to Buffalo. Chandler Jones on his way to Las Vegas. Now, where do they go in terms of that edge rusher spot, trying to bring somebody on the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence? It makes things tough for that defense.
And, of course, the Gregory balking at signing with the Cowboys because of the clause in the contract that gave the club some protection in case he was fined or suspended by the league. We moved past Wednesday, the official signing day across the league, into Thursday, and there was a speculation that La'el Collins might be traded. Well, as it turns out, no trade partner, as he is released instead.
It was kind of the opposite of Amari Cooper. You heard Cooper will be released. He was traded. Collins will be traded, but then he was released, and it really stems from the concerns around his health, his bend, his hip. That's been an issue over the last couple of years. Is La'el Collins really the same guy that you saw previous to 2020 training camp? It doesn't seem to be that way, or at least the coaching staff that has come in with Mike McCarthy and company see it that way. It saves about $10 million on the cap hit this season, from about $15 million down to $5 million, but next year it's really only a saving of about $7 million, so it kind of funnels into next season, but it allows the Cowboys, again, to have some more room to potentially bring some guys back.
And it looks like offensive line coach Joe Philbin likes the progress of Terrence Steele. Right now, if the Cowboys played a game today, Terrence Steele would be your starting right tackle. We're just getting started on this edition of the Blitz. When we come back, how about the guys who are staying? D-Law is going to stay a while longer, and he is going to be much needed on that Dallas defense next.
The Blitz is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Blitz here at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones along with Kyle Yeomans as we break down what has happened through the first week of free agency. We're talking about the comings and the goings. We talked goings in the first segment. How about, I wouldn't say it's comings, it's stayings is what it is. And that was a priority that the Cowboys had coming into this offseason, is keeping the guys that they want to keep on this roster. And starting at the top of the list, you got Michael Gallup with his 5-year contract, around $60 million long term. He is signed, sealed, and ready to deliver once he gets over ACL surgery. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong. You got a key signing at safety with Malik Hooker, Dalton Schultz, the franchise player, Leighton Vander Esch coming back, and Noah Brown and Jake McQuaid. And how about we start at the defensive end position, edge rusher, because that has been the focus with Gregory leaving. Key signing is DeMarcus Lawrence, and Dorrance Armstrong for that matter.
The madness began with Randy Gregory because of what DeMarcus Lawrence did to allow that room, that cap room, to be lowered because of his cap hit. And you look at the savings there of $13 million, that's even more so strung out over the next 3 seasons as well. This is a completely new deal for DeMarcus Lawrence, who initially the reports were that he was not going to take a pay cut. He was going to stand strong, and there were even rumors about his release moving forward. But because of his want, his need to stay in Dallas, to be a part of this defense, to be back here where, of course, he's grown throughout his career, he wanted to be here. He restructured the deal, and not really even restructured, but signed a new one that allowed for that cap space to happen. He really did the Dallas Cowboys a favor in this regard, because he's still talented. He still brings a force to the defensive side of the football, and having him back is a huge plus for this defense.
And he really showed it when he came back from injury in December last season. How about Dorrance Armstrong? What a great story Armstrong is, 4th-round pick out of Kansas, and you have seen him progress as he goes throughout his career, and I think that the Cowboys are rewarding him for that, and they see that he's got a future here, and as evidence, the 2-year, $13 million deal here.
Absolutely, and you look at Dorrance Armstrong as your potential starter at the defensive end spot, at that right defensive end spot, in replacement of Randy Gregory. That may not get a ton of people excited, nor should it. He's still a player that is very much so developing, but if you look over the course of his career, this past season was by far his most consistent output. Yes, he battled a couple of injuries along the way, but he still only ended up with 1 sack less than Randy Gregory. So maybe the production doesn't have as much of a drop-off as you would initially think. Still not an exciting prospect of him being your number one guy at that right defensive end spot, but with the growth that he's shown, maybe it's even better than people anticipate.
Well, and I like him as a rotation player up there too, and the door is open with that money that they could sign another edge rusher, draft an edge rusher as well. Micah Parsons plays on the edge as well. How about wide receiver and Michael Gallup, another feel-good story here. Now the question is, when will he be on the field?
Yeah, it's likely that he's going to miss week 1. He'll probably start the season on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP list as they call it. And Michael Gallup, speaking this week to the media, was very excited about the contract, certainly, but he's also more focused on the rehab and getting back to what he was previously, because that's what the Cowboys are going to need. He only played 9 games this past season, had 35 receptions, 450 yards, couple of touchdowns because he was severely limited with the foot injury. Now with the ACL that he suffered late in the season, can he turn around and be back to that number 1, maybe 1B wide receiver role along with CeeDee Lamb, because that's the money he's getting paid and that's what Dallas expects him to do.
Well, and then you look at this wide receiver room now, and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup leading the room, and with Wilson leaving and with Amari Cooper leaving, I mean, we can see the Cowboys do a number of things in this offseason to shore up things there.
Yeah, you could look at maybe a day 2 draft pick, day 3 draft pick at wide receiver if you wanted to increase your depth. I wouldn't rule out multiple wide receivers added throughout the offseason, either through free agency or the draft. It's definitely on the table for the Cowboys.
Hey, we had an opportunity to chat with Michael Gallup, and we are going to hear from Mr. Gallup when we come back here on the Blitz in just a moment.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
What's up, boss man? We want to do a fast team.
Congratulations,
Appreciate
man.
it, big fella.
Exciting day, huh?
Yes, sir. Big day.
Congratulations all around in the Cowboys locker room. One of the most popular players on the team, Michael Gallup, is coming back. A 5-year contract in the neighborhood of $60 million. You have to feel great for him. And Nick Eatman caught up with Michael Gallup.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? I'm Nick Eatman here with Michael Gallup. And Michael, free agency hit. This is a different type of March Madness going on here in free agency. But talk a little bit about how excited you are to sign the contract and kind of stay here with the Cowboys for at least 5 more years.
I mean, very excited. So my birthday, is March 4th, so this was really actually the best birthday I've ever had. I ain't gonna lie to you. But Cowboys Nation, this is it's something I've always wanted. I've been trying to stay here. That's why I worked my butt off to be here for at least another 5 years. Just big grin. That's all I can give you right now. Big grin.
When you suffered the injury, did you think, man, this is gonna mess up free agency? Everybody knew you were one of the unrestricted free agents, but did the Cowboys tell you, hey, just don't worry about that, it's not going to change anything? Did you have good vibes from after the injury?
I had pretty good vibes. Honestly, the game it happened, Jerry always comes down into the locker room and sees everybody after the game. He came over there and gave me a hug, and he said, we're going to try to work this out for you. So all you got to do is kill that rehab and get back.
Well, speaking of the rehab, I'm sure you've been asked this all the time. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? And, of course, every injury is different. But what is your answer to that? When do you think that you might be able to start running again and then obviously playing again?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I just listen to the trainers. They tell me what to do every day. They tell me not to look too far ahead, just focus on what you're doing right now, and that's all I'm doing. So obviously, you don't want to miss any games, but if I have to, I have to, just so I make sure that everything's good.
Obviously, big changes in the receiver room this week with Amari Cooper being traded. Just what was your relationship like with him, and now with you and CD and the other guys kind of stepping forward? How exciting is that just to kind of get a bigger role in the offense?
Coop going to be a lifelong friend. One of the best players I've ever seen, route running, just, being savvy, being smart, and then teaching all us young bulls the game. So it's hard to replace a dude like Coop, but I know he's going to go over there and do his thing. So, rooting for him always. But, I mean, us moving forward, I mean, me and CD, we've been doing this for a while, so I know he's going to bring the energy.
All right, and last one, we got a pretty nice payday there, and you said it was your best birthday. What's one thing, two things, 20 things that you're going to purchase here with this new contract?
Well, I think first thing on the list is to go get a house. So I need a house. I need to be here for a little bit.
Nice.
I think I'm good with everything else. You know, I'll keep that in savings for the little man.
And then when you get this house, you're going to let our social media team go in there and do the crib style. You can show it off.
I mean, you know, it might be big enough.
All right, you said it on camera. All right, appreciate it. Michael Gallup, Cowboys Nation. He'll be here for a while.
What a birthday present it was for the now 26-year-old Michael Gallup. The Blitz continues in a moment. Our resident draft expert, that would be one Kyle Yeomans, breaks down the edge rusher inventory in this NFL draft when we come back. What are the Cowboys going to do about edge rusher as we welcome you back here to the Blitz? Dorrance Armstrong signed, D-Law signed, Randy Gregory's gone. How about the draft? Can we draft someone? And how about in the first round, number 24 overall? What do you think?
I think if you're going to find a guy with the production of Randy Gregory or near to the production of Randy Gregory, you're going to have to draft him at the 24th overall pick, and you may have to have a couple of guys fall. And I'll start off with a couple of my day one names. Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. Both of those guys will be off the board even before the Cowboys get close to picking at 24. But there is a potential of George Karlaftis, big, powerful edge rusher out of Purdue, strong, long arms. He's built for the position. He has those traits. He's quicker than a lot of people give credit for. Didn't test ultimately off the charts in Indianapolis during the combine, but he's that powerful edge rusher. He's probably the most likely to fall. A guy named Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. You talk about the traits. Athleticism, length, and just pure power and production on that Georgia defense. Of course, winning a ring with the Bulldogs this past season. He's not as likely to fall, but there's still a chance. Maybe if you wanted to trade up and go get him, that would be my ideal pick for the Cowboys, because there's no way you're getting Hutchinson or Thibodeau. Walker would be the ideal one, but you'd probably have to go up to get him.
I vote for drafting any of those Georgia guys, any and all of those Georgia guys. That Georgia defense, just bring them all here. You know, one guy who was getting a lot of play early on in the draft season, Jermaine Johnson of Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State edge rusher, really athletic, speedy. He's more of that finesse rather than the power. That's what's going to knock him, is ultimately his strength off of the edge. I like Jermaine Johnson to be an early second-round pick. Teams might reach on him just because of the potential that he has, is maybe filling out. He started his career at the junior college level, transferred to Georgia for a couple years, got caught up in that Bulldogs talented defense, and then he really shined out as a one-season deal at Florida State, and then he had a really, really good, fantastic week at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile. I think that raised his draft stock maybe a little bit too much. Just keep an eye on him to maybe slip into that middle second round, maybe early second round. I don't think he's a first-round caliber player, and maybe that plays into it well for the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys draft history the last 15 years, only one first-round defensive end didn't work out, Taco Charlton. They got D-Law in the second round. They got Randy Gregory in the second round. Dorrance Armstrong was a fourth-rounder. What about second or third-round guys?
I got a lot of names for you here. Myjai Sanders out of Cincinnati. Once again, big, strong player. Not as much of the finesse, not a speedy guy off the edge, doesn't have a ton of bend. That's why he's knocked into maybe the second, third round. And then they actually talked to a quad of edge rushers in Indianapolis. Drake Jackson out of USC, probably a second, third round grade. Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma, probably a fourth round guy, so early day 3. Dominique Robinson in that same realm. He was a Senior Bowl product out of Miami, Ohio. And then Sam Williams, very good tape, very strong traits. He had some off-the-field issues that kind of knocked him during his time at Ole Miss. They talked to him, maybe trying to get that under control as well.
Sounds like a lot of prospects. And the Cowboys have some more draft picks. Yes, they're growing by the day when we come back on the Blitz.
The Blitz was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Who says it wasn't an exciting week at the Star in Frisco? The Cowboys got 2 more draft picks this week. The compensatory picks were announced. And yes, 2 more 5th-rounders and Kyle Yeomans. You know what you call that. That is draft day ammunition to move up in those earlier rounds.
You ever hear about massaging your board, making things happen, being aggressive? Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's package 3 of those 4 5th-round picks and turn it around to go try and either get up near the top 100, maybe just outside the top 100. I want 1 more 5th-round pick because I want to draft either a kicker or a punter at that spot, but overall it gives you some options.
That's right. In the big green notebook, I'm going to be very busy. All right, we'll see you again next week here on The Blitz, your Dallas Cowboys report.